it's Marissa with the Sewist. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today will be a quick one because I didn't get as much sewn up as I would have liked. I have been ill again, as you may have seen if you watched the video I did on the cutting table. And I am also preparing to travel to the US. So when this video comes out, I will probably be on an airplane. And so busy sort of trying to plan for both my packing and also being away, trying to make things as easy as possible for my husband, like sending him an email with all of the activities that he needs to take my son to and the times and the places and all of those fun things. So I did get one thing completed, one thing definitely over 50% completed. And I also wanted to tell you a little bit about the activity or festivities that I took part in last weekend. So I told you all, probably if anyone has watched previous videos, about the sort of medieval, not reenactment, but kind of reenactment that I took part in. And at the time, I had no idea what I was doing. But obviously now I have taken part and know what I was supposed to do. So basically, there's an old palazzo. They call it a castle, but it's not a castle, in the local town that I lived in. And obviously, as with many old palazzos and castles, they know the family who sort of lived in those beautiful sort of big villas, and sort of the family lineage and information about the family and that sort of thing. So the family that had the palazzo here is the Vici family. And so the whole activity was us, which is a group of people dressing up as we were the Vici family. So my name was Virginia. My son's name was Angelo. We had a fake daughter. Her name was Maria Grazia. Yes. And my husband was Capitano Federico, I think. Don't remember exactly. But we actually, I didn't realize we were sort of the most royal of the family, except for the head of the household, which was either my father or my husband's father. I have no idea. But the Friday night, we got dressed up, and the Vici family had been invited to a Baroque concert in the little church. Our little church is absolutely beautiful. It's quite small, and they recently redid all of the frescoes, and so it's absolutely stunning. It was all candlelit, so we had all of our, of course, costumes, and we did sort of a procession. We had drums to sort of welcome us, and we all had assigned seats, and it was like the people were putting the show on for us. And then, of course, members from the public sat in the pews and things. So that was really fun. It was beautiful music. I love Baroque music. And there was a lady singing, and it was super nice. So that was Friday. And then Sunday, we got dressed up again. And we sort of, I don't want to say reenacted scenes in the palazzo, but there's one room in the palazzo that has beautiful, beautiful sort of, not artwork, frescoes on the walls, and it's all of the furniture is literally from hundreds of years ago. And so we all sort of took part, sort of almost acting out as what we would have been doing in the time. So my husband played a game of chess with the father. I think it must have been his father. And I sat with the children, and it was super fun. So, and actually there were 2 TV stations that were there, which is very surprising. And one of the TV stations aired what they filmed yesterday, and then another one is today. I'm obviously going to include some pictures. And so we did that. Then we did a procession through the whole town. And then we sort of sat in one of the squares in our town, and a sort of shows were put on for us, the Vici family, but obviously the public all came. There was sort of like a jester, which was super fun. There were dancers, they were flag throwers, drum, percussion players, and it was super, super fun. It was so wonderful to take part in. And obviously we are stranieri, we are foreigners. And it was so nice to be sort of specifically invited to participate. I feel so lucky to live in such a wonderful community where these things sort of happen and take place, and also where we were absolutely welcomed and invited to participate. And now all over town, people are like, did you participate in Carnivale? I've seen your picture, because of course there's pictures on Facebook and things like that. And that's these pictures that I'm going to share with you are. Now I'm either going to, it's going to depend, so you'll have to just see what happens. I'm going to see if I can take some of the video that was on the TV station last night and sort of show you some of it, because it was 11 minutes. You don't want to watch that, and share some of the pictures. So you'll have to bear with me. I don't know what's going to happen until I edit the video. Okay, so I'm going to move on to what I'm wearing, or what I made, which is this lovely jacket. So this jacket is the, excuse me, the Absolute jacket by Atelier Scamet. This jacket is awesome. Jacket, yeah, it's a jacket. I mean, is it a jacket, or it's not like a, I don't know. Is it a jacket? It's an outerwear piece? No, I think it's more like a, don't know. You decide. I guess it depends on what sort of fabric you would make it in. So this is my jacket, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Now I will include some actual pictures of me standing still. This is beautiful fabric that I purchased probably a year ago, or give or take a year, from my local fabric store. It is a wool, which sort of looks like a boiled wool, and it's sort of fused onto probably what is jersey. Now it isn't stretchy, because obviously the wool isn't, and then I think this must be sort of a thin piece of jersey that's fused to, but it doesn't have any give. It is truly a woven. There's no stretch. It is thin, but not too, it's not thin, but it's, when you think of wool, you think of sort of thick. It's not thick. It's not thin though. So I have no idea if that gives any impression of what this is like. It's quite stiff. I love this jacket. As I probably said before, I made the largest size. This is not a great size pattern, or a great pattern in terms of inclusive sizing. I sort of just snuck in there at the top. So it goes from what they consider a 34 to a 48, which comprises of a bust of 31.5 going up to a bust of 45.3, and hip 33.8 to a 47.6, waist 24.4 to a waist of 38.2. Now, what I would say is, for me, the 48 in the bust, which is 45.3, is definitely the size I should make. But actually from the waist to the hip, it's the size down, so the 46. Now, obviously with something like this, you need it to fit here so that you have plenty of space, and I absolutely do. So I do I think it's too big? I don't know. No, I don't. I think it actually fits really nicely. Obviously it has no closure. Could it have been smaller in the waist and hip? Probably, and it would have been fine, but I actually really like it. I think it fits nice. It's got these beautiful pockets here, which I don't know if you can see. And everything is bound. So I'll take that off for you. Now you don't have to, but I did. I want it to really look nice and last. I mean, they recommend you bind everything, but some of the bits you don't have to. There's a nice pleat in the shoulder, which you can maybe see here. So you see that pleat? And it just gives a nice sort of curvature. Now, you can make this with a collar, but I'm really glad that I didn't. I included a beautiful, beautiful label that my dear friend Claire from Stitch Hem Sew sent me. Thank you so much, Claire. I love it, and I like the label. Made in me time, and I think it looks so pretty with the blue. The pattern instructions, let me move this up. The pattern instructions I would sort of suggest are quite basic. Now, it isn't difficult to make this. Luckily, they do have a video. Now, the video is all in French. However, as a sort of aid, like a visual aid, it works fine, even if you have no idea what they're saying, which I don't, because I speak no French. So using sort of the directions, which have some pictures, as well as the video, you're totally fine. Now, I can't comment on other patterns that may be more difficult that Atelier Scammett put out. But for this particular jacket, it's a pretty easy sew in that sense. So between the instructions and the video, you'd be fine. Now this particular pattern, let's see, what fabric do they recommend? So you can see here, actually, I'll show you all the variations. So you can make a longer one as well. So I made sort of the, I don't know, it's not cropped, just like the hip length one, but you can make a longer one. You can as well do this neckline, which is more of a, I don't know, scoop neck. I made this neckline. So I actually think I made this one. This is the longer. This is without pockets. Yeah. So I made with pockets the, I don't know, it's not a V-neck, but it kind of goes down here. In terms of fabric, I can definitely see myself making this in different fabrics because I can see how it would have really interesting different look. It says here, weight, medium to heavy. And nicely, they say 300 to 360 grams, which I think is super useful. Fabric, you could use a jacquard, a woolen fabric, quilting, cotton, etc. with a certain stiffness, so not too flowy. Stretch factor could be 0 to 10%, so not much. I would love to try this with a quilted fabric. So one thing when I'm in the US, I'm going to look for to see if I can get sort of a pre-quilted fabric in a color that would be nice. Because I really, really enjoyed making this. I enjoyed all the bias binding. It was just a very enjoyable make. Now, this particular fabric, when I was sort of finishing and doing, the last thing you do is the binding around the whole jacket. It was a nightmare, and I'm going to admit, I'm a nightmare in the sense that my arms hurt. Like, I felt like I had been lifting weights because it's so stiff. I really was having to maneuver it. And that's embarrassing to say that I felt like I'd been lifting weights, but I'm being honest. But I love this jacket. I would highly recommend it. One of a nice lady who, I think it's Jane, not sure, said that she's made this 3 times in 3 different sort of fabrics. So I can totally see why one would want to do that. I think it looks kind of smart as well, which is new for me. Not new, but most of what I make is sort of joggery type stuff. So I'm very pleased with it. And yeah, so I hopefully will have inserted some pictures of me wearing it from a still life perspective. But yeah, so that is the one thing that I got totally completed. This week I also made, or my son made, and as well, one of his friends came over and she sewed for the first time one of the snoods from the Green Apple Cottage. It's a free pattern. It's absolutely fantastic. If you ever want to, if you have a young person who wants to try sewing for the first time, I think it's fantastic. So my son and his friend, actually my son has sewn a few times, so his lines were extremely straight for a 7-year-old. But his friend, her name's Annalisa, she had never sewn before. So her line was sort of cutting in and stuff, because when you sew the snood, the first thing you do is the long sort of, basically the long part that goes all the way around on both sides. And it's so forgiving, this pattern. So even if it's sort of like, not straight, when you actually finish it, it looks perfect. So she was so pleased with it. And it's nice as well because it's so fast that it's quite, I don't want to say instant gratification, but it just gives, I think, a young person a lot of confidence to have made something that they can wear and really love. She wore it to school, and when she walks around, she's sort of doing this very clearly, very proud. So I don't have those to show to you. My son made 2 for his cousins, so I'm bringing those with me to the US to give to them on his behalf. And the last thing that I spent quite a lot of time on this week was, or is, the lovely Helen's Closet Cameron sort of button-down shirt. I have made loads and loads of progress. However, I don't want to rush it because I really am enjoying it, and I want to do flat felled seams, which definitely take more time. I want it to be really nice. I got the cuff plackets on correctly this time, so I'll show you how far I've gotten. I didn't put any chest pocket because I just thought with this fabric, it didn't, I I didn't want to sort of break up the fabric. So this is, it's hard to see. So this is the sleeve, right? So I've put on both sleeves because I'm doing flat felled seams. You put the sleeve on and then you do the side seams. I've done the flat felled seams here on one arm, and the other sleeve I have yet to do. This is, of course, the burrito method that you do the back placket. These are not back placket, yoke, black yoke, back yoke. Let me show you my lovely plackets, which you can kind of see here, cuff plackets. Now, I am going to say, I'm going to do a full, I'm going to do a pattern review / comparison with the Itch to Stitch Montana and the Helen's Closet Cameron, because I think if anyone who watches my channel is interested in sewing shirts, I really want to point out, as I consider myself a beginner, I want to point out the differences and which one I found to sort of be easier to sew because of the directions, because I think there are some big differences. So I will record that once I finish this shirt. So hopefully pretty quickly when I return from my trip to the US. So plans for next week, nothing. Obviously I'm gonna be in the US. I plan to hopefully visit a couple of fabric stores. I'm sure I will be purchasing something. I have a package, today's Thursday. I have a package arriving today from a fabric company in Germany called Katoon, I think that's how you pronounce it, that I've never purchased from before. They were having sort of their final sale and had an extra 10% off the sale items that were already substantially on sale. They sell really high quality fabric, but they also sell, so they sell all the designer fabrics, but they also sell loads of like really nice basics that are very, very high quality, according to their website. So like I said, I placed an order and that's arriving today. So hopefully I can record my fabric haul from that company and have that go out next week when I'm away, so that you still see my face, even though I won't be recording a Friday Sews next week. I will, yeah, so it was definitely a longer video than I anticipated. Thank you very, very much for watching, for subscribing, for liking, for commenting. I really appreciate it. And I hope you are all well, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend with lots of lovely sewing. Bye.